Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, my dear learners. I am Dr. Tanveer from Institute of Advanced Studies in Education, Jamia Millia Islamia. For this session, our topic is learning out of the classroom. This lesson is in continuation with our previous lesson on learning in and out of a school. In this session, we will discuss it more. We will highlight the differences between these two, and we will talk about learning out of classroom. After completing this lesson, you should be able to connect playing with learning, describe out of school learning as lifelong learning, and describe learning outside the classroom and its importance. Children are full of ideas, but then after some years of going to school, sadly, most of the time, or you can say at least sometime, this ends. Would you hypothesize the probable reason behind it? Some studies suggest that it is because they are pressed into a corset which does not fit. I am quoting the Arthur Fisher's study here. Children's life is full of play. When they come to school, we believe that life must become more serious and in proper order for children to make progress in their learning activities. We encourage them more to learn rather than to play. But do we know that playing is an excellent learning activity? The link between learning and playing is interest, which stems from Latin word inter and esse and means to be in between. That is true for playing and is best for learning. So, interest is the serious link between playing and learning. If playing is done with interest and enthusiasm, it is serious learning. This lays the ground for lifelong learning. Now here come another term, lifelong learning. It is important to know its meaning and importance. Lifelong learning is the learning on one's own means. It is left to the individual learner what, how, where and when he or she learns. Do we learn lifelong learning or self-directed learning at school? The answer is obviously not very much, because it is not left to the student what, how, where and when he or she learns, but it is to the teacher and to the curriculum. Self-directed learning at school refers at best only to how, but not to what, where and when. School determines how, school determines what to teach, school determines where to teach, and school determines when to teach. School aside, where are these environments for self-directed learning? Learning environment in general are all environments in which we learn. Now we are looking for learning environment where self-directed learning is supported. Fortner in 2002 investigated the out-of-school learning of children aged between 10 and 14 in his studies, which is published and is famous. Their results are impressive. I have given the link, I have given the references of that studies in the last slide. They show the value of out-of-school playing and learning. Children were self-directed learners during their spare time. They do not focus on learning, but they focus on fun. Nevertheless, they only have fun if they feel that there is competencies which is increasing. That is, they have fun as a result of learning without focusing on learning. This way of learning is both effective and efficient. Spare time as a self-organized field of life is an indispensable learning environment. This learning environment offers a high educational value. For example, development of self-organizing skills, development of lifelong learning, development of social competencies in peer groups. Even if the appropriateness of a single activity is still disputed by parents and many teachers in some of the studies like in Husserl's study, but these competencies and skills are obviously important and they are supported and developed more in spare time than in school. Here I am giving these citations and suggestions from different studies to make a point that spare time is an opportunity for better learning if you are determined to utilize it. In this lockdown time, you may have some spare times. Utilize it for learning loaded with fun. One of the recommendations of Faltin to improve learning environment is to reorganize work into fun. Is that serious enough? The finding of Husserl's gave us a new insight. Why is so? Because fun depends on increase of competencies. All children are interested to learn in exercising their spare time. One of the recommendations of Faltin to improve learning environment is to reorganize work into fun. Is that serious enough? The findings of Husserl's give us a new insight regarding this. Why reorganizing work into fun is important? It's because fun depends on the increase of competencies. All children are interested to learn in exercising their spare time. Learning is a precondition for fun. If we see children having fun exercising their activities, we can be sure that these children are learning. Furthermore, children do not only get many insight and competencies in exercising their interest, but they also get the required qualification for learning processes like concentration, sticking to rules, skillfulness, timing, staying in power, creativity, and many more. It seems that we totally underestimate the value of playing and having fun for the purpose of learning, especially in learning skills and competencies. In general, if you are really interested in something, you do not perceive your endeavor as work or learning, but you perceive it as fun. Achievement and fun is no contradiction, as typically can be seen in the field of successful entrepreneurs and businessmen. There is evidence on the hypothesis that preparing for lifelong learning as well as for independent thinking and acting, the out-of-school environment is more helpful compared to the environment in school. Let's see why this statement has weight. Let's compare a traditional in-school learning and out-of-school learning or out-of-classroom fun-based learning. Just observe this table where I have tried to compare the traditional in-school learning with out-of-school learning. When we talk about knowledge, in traditional school learning, knowledge is transferable goods. While out-of-school learning, the knowledge is the end of constructive ongoing process. For information, in traditional in-school learning, information is treated as good. While in out-of-school learning, information is a never-ending process. In terms of teaching, in traditional school learning, teaching is transferring knowledge. While in out-of-school learning, what teaching has importance is that learning without teaching. What is the goal of education in both setups? In traditional in-school learning, the broad knowledge, acquiring a broad knowledge is the goal of education. While in out-of-school learning, autonomy, the ability of self-governing achieved in having fun. These are the goals of education. What are the roles of learner in both the setup? In traditional in-school learning, the role of learner is a passive consumer, while in out-of-school learning we see that the role of learner is as active producer of knowledge. What about the role of teacher in both the setup? In traditional in-school learning, the role of teacher is the transmitter of content, while in out of learning, the teacher is assistant of the learner. What is the task of test or examination? In in-school learning, the purpose of examination is to evaluate the learner, but in out-of-school learning, there is no test, but real life is the test in itself. What are the sources of information? In school learning, teachers and textbook are the major sources of information, while in out-of-school learning, we see all other sources of information is available. There is curriculum in school learning, while out-of-school learning is decided by students' demand. Teacher is governing in school learning the teaching learning process, but students are governing out of school learning. Interaction between how the interaction happens. In school learning, the interaction is between students and teacher, while in out of school learning, student interact with the real world. Maybe teacher is a supporter, his family, her neighbor, or any other professional. What activities we do, what activities is done in school learning? Mostly it is listening, reading, writing, memorizing. But what about out of school learning? Students are engaged in doing things, thinking, talking, experimenting, and all those things. So, after this many comparison, we can now safely say that in school learning, that is in traditional school learning, it is majorly learning through transmission approach. Out of school learning, learning through constructivist approach happens. After this comparison, it can be said that learning should be shifted toward right side of the table. This means that more and more learning experiences out of the classroom should be encouraged. Modern experts advise the parent to allow their ward and kid to learn more outside the classroom. Here, we should make note that learning outside is a broad term with no definite boundary. Outdoor play, environmental education, adventure, recreational activities are some of the few examples to mention. Learning outside is more motivating, realistic, and make a significant impact on the student. Even the student who has struggled to learn concept inside the classroom teaching would learn easily through out of classroom learning. A traditional classroom teaching is more theoretical, and in most instances the students are required to mug up things rather than have a clear understanding of it. Outside classroom teaching helps the student to visualize things and gain a better understanding. Outdoor learning exercise the visuals, listening, hearing, leg, arms, different part of the body and entire body with your mind. The picture speaks thousands of words. It's a famous quotation and we can remember anything that is expressed visually. Outside the classroom teaching stimulates the brain and help the kid to stay more active. It improves their communication skill, teamwork skill, and develop more ability to tackle or face the real life situation. What could be outside in outside classroom learning? There are many outdoor areas where kids can spend their time having activities and learning. Now we will mention some of the type or some of the outdoor areas which are easily accessible on daily basis. Number one is a school ground. This is usually a large outdoor area that is considered very secure because it is usually fenced and guarded adequately. This area is ideal for both formal and informal learning. Now come the local environment, a rich source of information, a rich source of experience. This is the area that is nearby or neighboring to the school and home of the kid. The local environment can provide a different and unexpected way of learning various things. The student can learn about street and landscapes, heritage sites, parks, theatres, places of worship, and many more things. Residential areas are also very important or very rich in terms of learning experiences. These areas that are packed with a significant number of adults and kids can offer a great learning experience to students. Depending on the nature of residential area, the kid can learn about various things. Obviously, if the residential area is in urban area or township or a rural area, depending upon its location, depending upon the socio-economic context where it is based, where it lies, these are very rich sources of information. These are very rich sources of authentic learning. Let's discuss an organized form of outside learning, which is field trips, which may be introduced by your school. It may be introduced by some professional agencies or some NGOs also. Field trips are also very important and provide a very rich source of experience. Some parents, administrators, and educators may fear that outdoor activities can make their students lose their focus in classroom teaching. But according to a recent study, outdoor experience and activities help the students to stay more focused in the classroom and also enhance their other skills such as leadership skills, critical thinking, and reasoning. Work or practical based learning helps the student to improve their positive thinking. For example, if you consider a high school student you know who is a topper, who has excelled in academics, he or she most probably are likely to spend more quality times in sports also, in clubs or some extracurricular activities also. This student would be able to manage their time for various activities and is still able to achieve top grades in academics. Taking part in various work and activities helps the student to enrich their mind to the great extent. It adds positivity and it aids learning. Just scoring high mark in exam alone won't make a good candidate for future life. Today, the competition is soaring so high that potential job seekers are required to have more skills in addition to the academic awards. In order to be a competitive employee, you should hone his or her communication skill. You should have better communication skill, decision-making skills, teamwork, managerial skills, management skills, and other interpersonal skills. Acquiring or developing such skills are not possible with the classroom teaching and exams only. Students that engage in learning experiences outside the classroom report having higher level of motivation, recall the course materials more vividly, and have improved academic performance in the class. Only by doing work practically or actively participating in various events and mingling or teaming up with other people, one would be able to develop his or her talent and skills required for employment or typical work environment. You know, playing a war game on a screen doesn't make you a brave or a great soldier or warrior. There is much difference in playing the football game on the computer screen and in real life. Although both the electronic and live version of the game has same rules to follow, but playing the actual football game in the field requires stamina and willpower. It requires energy. This is the reason why classroom teaching is not at all sufficient for preparing the student to tackle the issues and challenges in real life. Learning experiences outside the classroom are forms of experiential learning as purported by Dovey. These experiences are rooted in the simple principles that experience is the best teacher. Under this framework, learning outside of the classroom is an active process wherein students encounter authentic problems, construct novel hypotheses, test for real solutions, and interact with others, make sense of the world around them. When do we do this? We encounter the world as a whole and are forced to engage multiple modalities. No matter which pair of disciplinary lenses we intend to wear, but experiential learning is inherently interdisciplinary in nature. Work experiences allow the student to get quickly prepared to face real-life problems. Though outdoor activities, the student will learn many things without their knowledge. The purpose of my class is not to highlight the negative of the classroom teaching, but to stress the importance of outdoor learning. Students have a better chance of excelling in academics and real life with the perfect balance of classroom and outside classroom learning. Now this is the time to recap what we learned in today's session. In this lesson, we learned that playing is an excellent learning activity. The link between learning and playing is interest. If playing is done with interest and enthusiasm, it is serious learning. This lays the ground for lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is learning on one's own means. It is left to the individual learner what, how, where, and when he or she learns. A spare time as a self-organized field of life is an indispensable learning environment. This learning environment offers a high educational values, for example, development of self-organizing skills, development of lifelong learning, and development of social competence in peer group. Learning is a precondition for fun. If we see children having fun exercising their activities, we can be sure that these children are learning. We concluded that school ground, local environment, residential areas, whether it is in urban area or a rural area, all these neighborhoods are a great learning environment. Today, the scenario has changed a lot that students are required to improve their interpersonal skills, self-awareness, and communication skills more than any time else. This is the reason why learning outside the classroom has gained more importance. A student can learn easily and acquire many skills through outdoor activities. Some of the significant benefits of outdoor learning are that it develops interpersonal skills and ability to act independently, improves creativity, minimize behavioral problems. Learners stay motivated and it provides better ability to tackle with uncertainties. Out of classroom experience can be great lesson to aspiring students. Students have a better chance of excelling in academics and in real life with a perfect balance of classroom and outside the classroom learning. Now you can note down some of the references which may help you in further studies. Thank you for being the part of this session. Thank you.